Our first guest is Nancy Vajretti with Love and Garlic. Nancy, thank you so much for joining me today. I'm excited to share with our viewers a little bit about Love and Garlic, a fantastic catering company that I know I've used with my clients for many, many years, and we're just super excited to have you here and to share with us. So, Nancy, tell me a little bit about yourself and a little bit about your background in the catering business.
Okay. Love and Garlic is a custom catering. We now use the titled Y line of California Artisan Foods and Catering because we're very, very involved in the movement of sourcing foods and farm table fresh. I grew up in the San Joaquin Valley in Los Banos, California, and it was through a small delicatessen that I owned, having bought from my uncle, that many, many Fresnans found me. And they said, come to Fresno, bring your story to Fresno, bring your food to Fresno. Right. And so I did move here. When I started, I was at Fig Garden Swim Racket Club. Okay. And I ran the snack bar and did that. And from there, we could have catering and attract business. So after 3.5 years, I left that because we really outgrew the kitchen area and the business there. So we moved to a commissary kitchen, which is located behind Yoshino's at Blackstone and Escalon. Okay. And we've been merrily there since 1990.
Wonderful.
So when people ask me, what have you done with your life, I'm kind of cautious about, well, we did this because they're adding up this many years, this many years, this many years. But that just means experience. Right. And I've watched my dad, who was a business owner, and other people, a doctor and my brother-in-law, and when they talk about, as well as you, my dear, when they talk about how one would do something, what they do, they always draw on their experience. Well, I remember 1946 or something like that. But it's really important because that's how we get good. Right. Because we remember our experience, we learn from it, and there's not a job I drive away from that I don't say, how was it? How could I have done better? Right. Was there anything that could have furthered the service, the food, or the actual structure? Because as you well know, catering is catering, but we're not involved in caterings. We're involved in events. Right. So it's more than just putting a meal on the table.
There's so much more involved. There really is, and you're absolutely right there. You really have to take note of everything that's happening in the event. Because there's so many factors that involve or that will involve you with your food and your catering, and you want to get your food out hot.
Yes.
And you want to make sure that it's prepped properly. So, well, I know that a lot of brides will ask one of the very most important questions that I find with dealing with food and with the caterers is, I want to know that they're licensed. So.
Yes,
you are licensed and insured, and I think that is huge.
Yes,
that's and I think everyone needs to ask that question.
I noticed with institutions like UC Merced and all the institutions in the hospitals and things like that, even going to a simple event like the Fig Fest or any now known trade event or festival, they are so difficult about everybody must work from an approved kitchen, because it proves that you're in surroundings that don't have animals, don't have hair, don't have beasties, and then you're cleaning your food in proper sinks, etc., etc. It's very, very important.
It is.
And then as far as insurance and policies, all we're doing by being properly insured is covering the liabilities that would fall on a facility or a client if we're not insured and we were the ones that were negligent. Right. Yes, it's very, very important.
I think it's very important, and I think a lot of people think that they can just go out and bring their own caterers in and cater an event. But there's a lot more to it, and I like business to be done properly. So let's talk a little bit about your menus, because I know that you have absolutely fabulous menus, and you really have a lot of fun and pay attention to your clients and what their needs and wants are. So I know that you offer many varieties, so I'm going to let you talk a little bit about what some of your favorite menus are and how you do that.
We grew up being Italian, so we'll always grow up with that feeling of food, and certainly in a town like Fresno and in an era like now for 10 years or 15 years, since the 80s, you have to be tuned in to what people eat, and that means we're an ethnically rich valley. And the food story is global, and they call it world cuisine or global cuisine. So you may, and kids now, but your children probably eat pot stickers and sushi and all these wild foods and Thai foods, whereas probably we were eating Chinese food with just the fried noodles on top. So food is it for everybody. It is a major cornerstone to any event, and especially a wedding, because people will know tragically if it wasn't done well. And it's special to be special. And I think our valley and my background has always been food first, and that's what we say in our business. Food first, so whatever it takes to make the food the very best in its planning, its preparation, and its service.
Absolutely.
Because we've worked together several times on very large events or more small, intimate events. It is very important. Then the style of food, there's traditional things, banquet food, and we're not too much like that because we're quite a custom caterer.
Right.
Then the fun thing for me, if one has to be in business as long as I have, is the generations of brides that have come to us. Because there was I call it, now we're into the G3 generation, which is the generation of our children who are getting married, and they think differently, they entertain differently. We didn't have Pinterest. I used to say Martha Stewart, but now we look at Pinterest to get our ideas. But the idea is they think differently, they work a lot through the internet and through things like this, and they have more direct ideas, clean, stylized, and they too. So we have to gear ourselves in that way, be very chameleon, and we gear ourselves to their likes and dislikes. And that's what makes us a custom caterer. It doesn't make it high price because we serve certain kind of foods. It means we're custom because we listen to what they want, and they all have their own ideas. And if it's a wedding, it's a special day.
Absolutely.
And they should really have it. And we're pretty indulgent, but at the same time, I'm a devil's advocate because I know that I must plan something that works. And I can't be a yes person to any of my clients if it gets me into trouble and I can't perform.
Right.
So I'll advise them, just like if I say I'm dealing with a doctor and insurance people, you know this business, I don't, you educate me. In the meantime, I'll do my best to educate you so we can go down this path, and then we're both, me and the bride are winking each other, probably the mother of the bride, because we've accomplished something that's called teamwork. And it takes, that's the other thing, my big philosophy is when we go forward at events, I want strong vendors like you, because, and like a rental company, a lighting company,
Absolutely.
whatever,
Absolutely.
because we're a team, and no event should fall singly on one person. But as a team, you just can see us moving forward towards that field, and I can remember a field we were on together.
Absolutely.
Beautiful field.
Oh, yes, yes. Well, you know, and like you said, you know, presentation is huge these days, and a lot of the brides I know want, and again, because Martha Stewart, now Pinterest, they have such specific wants and needs, and they have these visions. Mm-hmm. But they have to remember that taste, your food has to taste good.
Has to taste good.
So even if you have this presentation, a lot of the things that they'll see on Pinterest might be for a smaller event, which is
true.
very easy to do.
This is true.
Not so much for an event of 400 or 500.
Yes.
So I'm glad that you pointed that out, because brides do need to be realistic about that.
But I want to say that beyond a cook and a caterer, that's my job. And it's almost a merchandiser where we have to go beyond just putting the food on the table. We have to figure out what to put it in, how to serve it, and how to, even if we're doing a sit-down dinner for 500 and you've been there, we have to manage the plate in such a way that I always say, they think I've been in the kitchen all day long, but I've taken those steps and finish it on site. So because the food is always the freshest when you do that. That they think, oh, Nancy, she's been in the kitchen all day, but we've been in the kitchen, but we've planned well and managed well, so it has this sparkle.
Absolutely.
But it works, and that's really important. And the easy test is many, many years ago, oh, can you do fettuccine for 500 people, or even risotto? And there's a line where you have to say, no, can't be done. And any good Italian would say, no more than 6 people, but we would do it more than 6 people.
Right.
And there's ways to master that.
Absolutely. Well, good. Well, and so tell me a little bit more about what you do offer. Now, do you offer bar service?
That's a good question. We don't carry a liquor license per se. That can be a good thing, too, because in certain situations, a client, if they're on their own property, can serve their liquor without a liquor license, and they can bring on the liquor liability. If I had a license, I would have to be charging them corkage fees and things like that.
Right.
If I'm in a hardcore liquor situation, I'm I would recommend a professional bar service because that's what they need. And that professional bar service may cost you a little bit money up front, but then the management of the liquor, the breakdown of the liquor, and the service of the liquor will be very professional. At the end of the event, they won't have 30 bottles opened. Plus, we can recommend things, the style and service of it, and get involved with them. But it's very important to have a professional on site. And what a professional liquor service does bring to you is the liability and the liquor license, which is warranted in the state of California.
Right. Now, Nancy, tell me a little bit about how you deal with dietary restrictions these days. I know these days there's so many people who have issues with certain foods, and, and how do you handle that?
Well, first off, is we don't think we should punish anybody for food preferences or food disabilities, let's say. So we welcome it, we plan it well. And if you're vegetarian, if you're gluten-free, if you're vegan, those are three things that are very important. And we've dealt with kosher menus, very strict kosher menus, or just simple kosher menus, no shellfish, no pork. And it's just paying attention and serving it right. So just recently, and if he shows the photos of the wedding we did on the day it was supposed to rain, but it stopped at 11 o'clock, he's showing it right now. I had a gluten-free vegan, a couple, 3 people there, and I just figured out how to serve them separately so I didn't have to prepare it and upcharge the customer, but they got what they wanted. It separated it from the main food and could serve them their little family-style bowls. By the way, that's a family-style wedding and a wonderful way to do food in this day and age.
Wonderful.
Good cost, good value too.
Absolutely. Nancy, tell everyone how they can find you and locate you and contact you.
Okay, you can locate me through the phone number, through the website, and through the website there is a email address, kudos@loveandgarlic.com.
Okay.
You can just Google it and we'll come up. And we accept appointments. We work through the email. We'll do weekend appointments when our catering schedule doesn't demand it, because my brides want me there, and that's what I like to give to them.
Absolutely.
And then you asked about tastings. We will do tastings. However, we do want to get far enough along the way that when we do taste, it's focused on the menu and the preparation, because we like them to see the food, the amount, because sometimes, the bride and the groom, they're not that interested in my food on their wedding day. For shame. But anyway, it gives them a good experience. And we like to include the parents because they should all experience it.
Right. And they want to have that fun experience and taste what they're going to get. Well, Nancy, thank you so much for being here today.
Asking me. It's been a pleasure.
That you were here to share with everyone Love and Garlic. This is Nancy Vajretti. And stay tuned. We'll be right back.